Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Right now I am at a what I like to call a new rail fanning location. This is in North Toledo, like less than a mile from the border. The place is called Alexis Junction, and I recently found out about this. Now, right here is the main entrance to it. Back in 2014, this was supposed to be a public area or space, but then it got abandoned. Someone bought it out, like a housing development, but then they, I guess, sold it, and I have no idea who owns the property anymore, but like, no one uses it. So I've been using it to rail fan at this really cool diamond. Now, right here is Stickney Avenue. This is like around a neighborhood called Alexis Junction. So the place to park right around that corner, there's like a small little gravel lot. Then you walk down the sidewalk, cross the street here, and then you're in. So yeah, recently me and a couple of other rail fanners have been trying to clean this up because it is really dirty. It's not just like people leaving garbage everywhere. It's also it's also plants growing everywhere. So as you can see back there, a bush growing over. And it looks like this is supposed to be like a path for like cars, potentially. But as you can see, it's like somebody cleared this path up. So I don't know who that was, but thank you, whoever that was. It wasn't any of my friends that I know. Yeah, kind of weird. Anyways, after going down this path, you'll reach this like open area with this large tree. And then I will see you in a moment. All right, so once you go down the path here, also, this is all the garbage we had to clean up. There was a lot of garbage here. Mostly, it was all over here in the corner. You come up to the staircase, and this path right here, I actually cleaned this out. It was like terrible. Like, you could only like stay to the left, but like now, after getting rid of all the overgrown plants, it is a much easier to get through here now. And then you come to the staircase, which also had weeds growing all over. You can see some of them here. But me and the other guys that helped did a really good job on this. And then you come up here, and then there's a diamond. Now, the first line you'll come across is, in my opinion, the most active line, which is the CSX Toledo terminal. And then right up on your left are these two old New York Central signals, which are still in use. I think they're like fixing the wires or something here, because those weren't there the last time I was here. But yeah, anyways, it's really cool. Pretty cool. As you can see, we got all red for the CSX Toledo terminal, which is this line right here. And then there's another one. Over here is the Ann Arbor main line. And I believe there's no like off branches, so this is just the Ann Arbor main line, I guess. And then begin CTC. Yeah, whatever that means. I don't know what it means. Comment down below if you know what this means. But again, we have red over red. Usually, you won't see train traffic on this line on weekends. But on weekdays like today, when I'm filming, you may see something go down here. Usually in the afternoon, somewhat. But yeah, as you can see, there's something down there, but that works the Ottawa or Boulevard yard. One of those two yards. Probably Boulevard. Yeah, okay. Anyways, over here is like the main area to like hang out, wait for trains. There was a ton of garbage over here. I cleaned it all up, put it in a pile. Also, a little bit of history. Right over here was where the old N Tower stood. So obviously this was an interlocking, and back then this would have had a tower, so control. There were at least like 40-50 strong arm levers, and this was a spot right here. It was torn down like in 1998, 99, somewhere around there. But this is where it used to stood, or once stood, and I believe that the dispatcher here not only controlled the diamond over here, but also the another interlocking, which is down this line right here, called, I want to say, Tower Z interlocking. I'm not too sure about. It's Tower something, Tower Z, K, whatever. One of those names. But yeah, dispatcher would have controlled from here. Anyways, over here are two of the old diamonds that I assume used to be there. If you check Google Earth, I believe around the 2010s was when these were removed, and they've just been sitting here ever since. So I don't know if they're gonna move those or not. And then you have more stuff over here. Again, they cleared. I was here like a week ago, and it was like a bunch of weeds, a bunch of mess here. There must have been some railroad workers that came by, because this whole area is clean, and that's not what it was like when I was here, but I cleaned up all this, and I'm assuming they put that there because I did not. Anyways, moving on to the next line. This and the other track back there are part of the Norfolk Southern Detroit line, which basically starts at the airline yard down in Toledo and goes all the way up to like Diamonds somewhere in Detroit. I'm not sure. Also, I think I should at least point out the Toledo terminal line all the way down there goes from Walbridge, Ohio, all the way to, I want to say, Carlton, Michigan, around there, and then it changes into the Saginaw sub. So yeah, pretty cool double track. There is a train down there, although there is a yard, and I believe it is stopped at that yard. And then right down here is a abandoned Y, I believe. I say abandoned not because the weeds grow here, but I've never seen a train use it. And then if you look all the way down there, there's a sign that says yard limit. That's because the line going down there to Tower Z or K was like a small yard. I don't know what the name of it was, but that used to be yard, and the yard ended around here. So pretty cool. Along with this line, there's another abandoned line, which is right through these weeds. I want to try and go quickly through here so don't get any bugs. Another abandoned line, which cuts off somewhere along there, and then goes all the way down to an OmniSource plant, which there's tank cars, grain cars, stuff like that down there. But yeah, this track goes a pretty long ways down there. But yeah, pretty cool. So I guess now I should mention a little bit of history here. So let me get through these real quick. All right, so let's look at who used to own these. So let's start with the Y right here. This was used by, I don't know if it was owned by, but it was used by Grand Trunk Western. I believe they had like a right to go past the Y, but Grand Trunk used this. Let me get quickly through here. These both Norfolk Southern lines were owned by New York Central, and both operated as a single track, but then got converted into a double track. And I believe one of them was like shared along with New York Central, the Lakeshore and Michigan Southern, and Michigan Central. I'm not sure. I know Lakeshore, Michigan Southern, I believe is what it's called. But yeah, once they left, New York Central turned this into a double track. And then if we come over here, the Ann Arbor line was owned by the original Ann Arbor before it was like taken out and then came back. This used to be a double track, so there would have been another track right here, and I don't know if you can see it, but there's like a switch down there that got taken out, and it used to be like a crossover or whatever it's called, and there would have been a line that came right over here and down to Ottawa Yard. That was owned by the Detroit, Toledo, and Ironton. And then the last line over here was also shared by the Pennsylvania Railroad, and get this, the Pure Marquette ran trains down here at one point. So that was a big surprise to me. But just imagine Pennsylvania Railroad versus New York Central, like one of the few diamonds. Sounds amazing, crazy. And then obviously in the 1970s, when Conrail took over, they basically controlled this entire diamond, with Grand Trunk controlling the Y. And then obviously after Conrail was traded to CSX and NS, like I just said before, NS took the two main lines, and CSX took the single track, and then Ann Arbor took this one right here. And then forgot to mention, Ann Arbor goes from down there to one of the yards, I believe, all the way up to, well, Ann Arbor. And then there's two more New York Central signals over there. There's two down there. And then there's two more over at Detroit Avenue. So it's a pretty cool place. I hope to see some of you here maybe in the future. But yeah, that's basically the end of our tour here. Let's get on to some trains. Alright, right now we got an NS northbound heading to Detroit, I believe on this track over here. So we're gonna film that one in a short bit here. Quick little update, we have a second train. So you can see we got two headlights down there. So hopefully we get a meet at the diamond. If so, this will be the first time ever. So pretty cool that we got two trains on Norfolk Southern. Usually not the most active line, but here we go. Alright, after some waiting, we have a red, green, red, which is basically like a medium speed. So we have a CSX northbound coming. For context, he's going to take this main line, and then that switch right down there, he's going to take that switch and merge onto the second track. At least that's what I think red, green, red means. But either way, great to see the New York Central signals being used, and also great to see another train coming. All right, after about 15 minutes of waiting, we got our CSX coming. It should be here in about a couple minutes. Let's get this going. Real quick video here. We're just south of Alexis here at Halle. There's that signal tower right there. May make another video on this, but we got 3 Ann Arbor's locomotives just sitting here. So pretty cool, like ex-Union Pacific and Wamex right there. So pretty cool consist. Alright guys, that'll end the video here. Thank you everyone for watching. Hope to see some of you here at the Diamond here. And I will see you in the next video.